As I said in my last video, I'm not going to just make videos on stuff that I don't give a shit about. I feel like I should be sincere. It's not like I'm dealing with a giant audience that has a whole bunch of expectations anyway. So it's been a while, but as usual, there's this thing that's been bothering me more and more, generally, but then in specific circumstances as well. It's just gotten to the point where I'm really fed up with it in my personal life and seeing it in the broader culture. So basically, I just want to preface this sort of with some background to give some context. So I grew up, my dad was around when I was young. As I got older, he was around less and less, and then eventually he just moved to a different state and, married someone new. They had their own thing going on. So that happened when I think I was 12. So my dad didn't realize it at the time, and I don't fault him for the timing, but it was really the worst possible time for your dad to no longer be around. I never had a good relationship with him anyway. He was a military dude, and he treated me like he treated his airmen, which is fine when you're old enough to be an airman. When you're 8 years old, it's not ideal. It's not necessarily a welcoming environment for a kid. So I grew up with my mom. My mom was more of a friend than she was a parent, and I don't fault her for that either. I mean, I think she was doing the best with what she knew, and she felt really guilty about the situation with my dad, so she just wanted to be as supportive as possible. And the way that she did that was she sort of fell into a support role more than anything. And the real issue is, it's not her job to be my dad. It's absurd to expect a mother to be both a mother and a father. Like, she can be a mother, she can't be both. That's the man's job. And I think in her situation, she was a good mom, and then she was a friend rather than a dad, and that was better than nothing, I think, in her eyes. In reality, what it did was it put me in a situation where I got away with everything. I never had any rules. I never was held accountable for anything growing up. I was a fairly intelligent kid, so I basically knew how to manipulate my way out of anything that I did. I was always very good at certain things. Like, there were certain things that I just walked into and I was good at. Some sports I was very good at day one. I was on debate team. I was good at that right away. I didn't realize it until later on in life, but basically what I did was, anything that I wasn't immediately good at, I just quit right away. And that's what I did with everything. So the things that I ended up doing were things that I was good at already. And that was a really bad, that was a really bad situation for me. Obviously, I didn't realize it at the time, but looking back, that put me in a situation where I never learned that I had to work at something. I learned the exact wrong lesson, which was that if you're good at it, great, then you don't have to work to be any better at it. You're already good at it. And if you're not good at it, you can just quit. And that's the attitude that I carried with me my entire adolescence. It did not serve me well in sports, because I never got close to reaching my full potential. It was only after I joined the military and played outside of high school, played sports outside of high school, that I even realized, like, holy shit, I was actually really good at this. And had I taken sports as seriously as I take physical training in the military that translates directly to sports, I could have really done something here. But basically, by the time I was going to graduate high school, I hit this wall where I could either go left or right. There was no forward path. I had to choose a drastic step. And the two steps I had available were go play sports in college or join the military. And luckily for me, I was just not dumb enough to realize that college isn't an option for you, man. Like, you can't do it. You will go and you will fuck up and you will fail. You won't take your schooling seriously. You won't take practice seriously. You won't take anything seriously. You will go and you will fuck up and you will get kicked out of school, and that'll be it. And then what? So luckily for me, I recognized, I don't take credit for that because that's not I didn't choose that. I got lucky that I realized that about myself, and I ended up joining the military. And it wasn't until I reached my first assignment that I actually had the epiphany that, like, holy shit, man, like, you're stuck now. You can't quit this. You can't just quit and pick a different job. Like, this is it. Like, you have to find a way to succeed here. And then I realized, and the environment was great, and I'll talk about the environment, but then I realized, holy shit, if you actually dedicate yourself to learning this stuff and getting good at it, you're going to suck for a while, and then one day you're going to wake up and realize that you're really good at this shit. And then I was just like, holy cow, that's what other people have been doing their whole lives, who got the right lessons growing up. That's how people became successful early on in life. I didn't get it. I had no idea, and then one day it clicked. It was the perfect situation for me. I got stationed somewhere I didn't want to be, and I couldn't do shit about it because the job that I have is very specialized. So there aren't options. You go where you go, and that's it. So I went somewhere I didn't want to go, and I was stuck there. I had a job that was very intimidating because of the intensity, but that's the job I got. There's no options. I can't change jobs. You can't change jobs. You have to at least have a year time on station to even talk about retraining, or at least that's the way it was when I first got there. So then I hit another decision point where I was like, man, are you gonna find a way to quit? Are you gonna find a way to bail out of this too, or are you gonna do what you know you have to do and get fucking good at this job and get competent and get confident and become good at this job and then, move forward? And luckily I quit so many other things in my life that I realized, like, oh, I don't want to do that again. That doesn't work. So I decided to get really good at my job, and the environment was a perfect one because I was around a bunch of hard ass motherfuckers who basically in a very short period of time taught me the lessons that I should have learned from my dad growing up that I didn't get. I didn't have any option. There was no sympathy. It was sink or swim. And the work environment was extremely competitive. All anyone ever talked about was who is the best at this, who is the best at that, who is the best in this position. And I realized, okay, if I can get in that conversation, if I can get to the point where people are talking about me as the best at what I was doing, I will know that I achieved my goal. I will know that I worked my way into being good at something for the first time. And so I just did that. I completely dedicated myself to it. And it really got to the point where it was this remarkable shift where against my will, I fell in love with where I was. Against my will, I fell in love with my job. And before I knew it, I was in that conversation, and I was the go-to guy, and I was, one of the 3 or 4 trusted people at this position where, people really leaned heavily on me. And then there was one night where I was off for, we had a different work schedule than normal people. So one of my days off, I think it was I think it ended up being a Saturday actually. So it was in my off time, my 3 days off, 6 days on, 3 days off. I got a call at 12:20 a.m. from a captain that I knew very well. I trained him, and he trusted me a lot. And he called me and he said, hey, there's a big thing that's going to happen tonight, here in a few hours. And the squadron commander and the group commander are coming in to basically do some oversight, like watch to make sure that this goes well. And he said, well, what I'd like for you to do is, I would like, if you would be okay with it, I know it's your off day, but I would like for you to come in and take care of this for us. So I want you to come in, be the crew chief, and make sure that this goes the way that we want it to in front of the squadron commander and the group commander. And I said, of course, I'd love to. And I just remember on the drive in, I had never had that feeling before. That was the first time ever that I experienced that. This is wholesale validation of all the fucking work and effort that you've put into this. It's something you should be comfortable with internally, but this is external validation, full scale, of everything that you've done up to this point. And I went in, and it went well, and I decided to just stay for the rest of the shift, because the squadron commander and group commander wanted to stay for the rest of the shift, and they wanted to sort of talk through everything with the crew. And I had another epiphany, like an hour after they left. It was like 6 o'clock in the morning at this point, so the other crews were starting to come in. But I had this feeling that I belonged there. I had this feeling that I was at home for the first time ever. I'd never felt like that before. And that it really just left an impression on me. I remember where I was standing. I remember, who was around me, what other people were talking about. I remember that moment because it was a big moment for me. And that was basically where I realized I was a conservative totally. And the way that I suppose from a technical perspective, like psychologically, and I'm not an expert here. I'm working towards licensure, and in my state, I can be licensed as a clinician with a master's degree. I realized that because at bottom the core value of conservatism is you get what you earn and you protect it. At least that's the way it appears to me, in the way that it seems to manifest in life, in my life. And the thing that really irks me is I look around at the transgender stuff, and I look around at school boards getting rid of failing grades in school, and I look around at reparations and all of this other bullshit. And the way that I see that is, my initial reaction is, fuck you. I have no sympathy for you. You have no idea what I went through in my life. Regardless of how difficult your life was, whether you perceive it to be that way or I perceive it to be that way, my life may have been more difficult than yours. And the thing is, I know 100 people who had a far more difficult life than me. So fuck you. I have no sympathy for you. I never begged for handouts, and I never got them, and I wouldn't want to get them. And those people just repulse me. It's disgusting to me. They disgust me with that. Not as people, not the way they look or anything like that. That attitude disgusts me. It makes me ill to know, and it's doubly bad for me because the way that I look at it, and it may be totally pedantic or pretentious to look at it this way, but I think about it from the perspective of, I joined the military for the right reasons. I joined the military because I wanted to realize my full potential. I knew that that was a good avenue to do it, and I wanted to do it in a way that would be serving other people and something that I cared deeply about. And I cared deeply about my country. So it was like, this is the right move for me. And to know that my service for the right reason to my country was for people like this. And that makes me doubly disgusted. That to see people and know people who actually do the badass shit and actually very well may be killed before they are done with their time in the military. Those people are doing it for people like this. That shit makes me ill. And I think the worst part about it is, and I haven't really heard anybody talk about this aside from maybe from a you know, a secondary or tertiary perspective is Dr. Peterson. But the thing that really pisses me off and frustrates me about these people is I have something to tell them, and they are the exact type of people who wouldn't listen. Like, these are the people that would benefit the most from what I have to say, and these are the people who would be most likely to not listen to what I have to say. And the really shitty part of it, at the core of it all, is if only you knew what I know about hard work and effort. That's the message here, is if only you knew how. I say to my daughter and my sister, because I feel like platitudes seem to go a long way and stick in the mind. There is nothing like going to bed exhausted and knowing you earned it. That is my everyday, is what I aim to do. I aim to go to bed exhausted and know that I earned it. Know that I earned going to bed, and know that I earned being exhausted. And that's enough for me, because the people depending on me, like my wife and my daughter, they're getting what they need. Because if I'm going to bed exhausted, it means that I did what I needed to fucking do. That's it for me. That is life satisfaction. And that's the frustrating thing that these fucking people don't understand and need to understand, is you waste all this fucking time pursuing your own pleasure and your own happiness and your own well-being and all these other fucking buzzwords. I lived the first half of my life, probably closer to 2/3 of my life, in pursuit of my own happiness and what's gonna do it for me, and how do I get right, and I want to be satisfied, and it got me fucking nowhere. It got me nowhere except depressed, lost, just fucking miserable, and unable to deal with. There's been an uncanny number of suicides and deaths in my immediate family, immediate friend group, etc. Boo fucking who cares? I was utterly ill-equipped to deal with that type of stuff, because I was just totally lost in life. It wasn't until, and it's so counterintuitive, but it truly does work for everything, especially if you're a man in relation to women. The moment that you quit worrying about your fucking self and you start focusing on your mission, you start focusing on the people you care about, you start focusing on the people you want to help. If your focus and effort and energy are on things you care about and things you're passionate about and taking care of your family, you will have endless energy. Like I have never been so busy in my life as I am now. Like I wake up at X time, and then there might be a 10-minute break or two in there up until 1 a.m. usually 1:30 when I wrap up my homework. There might be 1 or 2 10-minute breaks in there where I'm not doing anything. The rest of the day I am fucking booked, completely busy. And I've never been so happy. I've never been so satisfied. And it's because making shit happen in my life, my professional life and in my personal life, requires work and effort. If things are going well in my professional and personal life, I know that I've done what I need to do. There's no feeling like that. There's no satisfaction like going to bed exhausted, knowing you earned it. And these fucking people that are talking about reparations and have an identity crisis and they think they're going to fix it by chopping their nuts off and dyeing their hair blue and naming themselves Candace. These are the people that most need to learn that lesson. And precisely because of that, they're the people least likely to listen to it. But I'm telling you, man, like if you're lost or you're not really sure, you're feeling miserable or depressed or you're unsure about your life, from a clinical perspective, what I am telling you is stop fucking spending time thinking about yourself. Stop fucking wasting your time worrying about yourself and your own happiness and all that nonsense. Focus on what you're passionate about, what you care about, who you care about, and people you want to help. Focus all your time and effort on that, and one day you will be happy. You will, one day very soon, you will wake up and realize, holy shit, I've never been so happy in my life. And it's counterintuitive because you also realize, holy shit, I haven't thought about myself in forever. I can't remember the last time I thought about myself or how I was feeling. And that sort of dedication to craft and dedication to the people you care about is what's at the core of conservatism. And the reason why Christianity has made it through the ages, or at least it would be my contention, is because Christianity has the same message. And that is why Christianity is synonymous with conservatism at this point, is because the core message is you get what you earn and then you protect what you've earned. And that's it. There's nothing else to it. And that is precisely why you don't need the God nonsense to justify being a conservative. You don't need this objective moral framework or grounding that all the conservatives seem to talk about with respect to God and, morals and ethics. You don't need that. All you need is the objective fact that psychological well-being for humans does not come from attempting to promote your own well-being. What it comes from is being a member of a social species and successfully contributing to the tribe, because those are the people who didn't die. Those are the people whose genes were passed on, and thus the people who have propensities in that direction are the ones who pass on their genes. It's very simple. It's very straightforward. It's a little bit different now in the modern era because our survival is not on the line every day. But that is precisely why we have so many fucking miserable people, is because not everybody is focused on their survival every day. They have time to focus on other shit, and what they focus on is themselves, and that is a nowhere road. Your focus should be on what you care about, what you're passionate about, who you care about, and people you want to help. And you will have endless energy, you will be satisfied, and you will wake up and realize you are happy as a byproduct of your hard work and effort. And if you're lost or having a hard time with that, pick your fucking self up, stop feeling sorry for yourself, get your shit together, focus on work, focus on the people around you that you care about, and stop thinking about yourself. And then you will wake up in a couple months and realize you're happier than you've ever been. That's really the end of it. Like I said, just a total rant, but hopefully there's some value in there. Yeah. I'll post again at some point. Thank you.